All right, I believe that we are on and live and working. So, I'm going to teach again a little bit more about Mr. Donald Trump and the process of America and the difficulty the world has with a worldwide pandemic and the healing of that pandemic and the ability to recognize what it really is. How we're dealing with it is an outcome of how many deaths we'll have. If we look at the pandemic, I've taught before that in science, there is a particular percentage we use during pandemics, like a flu or something like that, something that could be spread by coughing, breathing, things that come out of your mouth. Yeah, and a quick and easy spread of things like that usually have a high percentage of it being contagious. So in this case, that's true. And we find that testing, in order to know whether or not anybody carries it, is our best defense, because then we can isolate and keep that person away from those people who are more susceptible to the illness. That would then go on into much more dangerous types of illness to the point of dying. So we can get as many as 20, 30, 40, 50 million people who will get this virus. And if we test, we'll at least know that many people got it. Yeah. But the key is how many people die of it. Yeah. So if we test, if we isolate, if we wear masks, and if we do all the right things, two things are different. The number of people who are getting the virus, the count that's in that, is different than the number of people who are dying. Because a lot of times we have 350 million people in the United States, and if we've only tested 5 million of those people, that's an extremely small percentage. So we really have no value or understanding as to how many people actually have this virus. So we can't really control why it goes up and down so quickly. Yeah, and it's mainly because there's a lot of people walking around with a virus who's got a mask on or staying home, and it's not affecting society. So it goes down. But the moment we get out and we start getting involved, and since we're not testing, we get these immediate surges of these symptoms of people going in, getting tested because they got sick. And those people go up in numbers as far as their level of dying. Yeah, we have 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 people die a day, from this coronavirus. And yet, if we treat it properly, we shouldn't have more than 100 of the whole United States people dying per day. And the people who die are people who weren't able to protect themselves from getting the virus, were elderly, or had susceptibility in some underlying illness that they had that then became a very bad process of death. Where we can nip this in the bud, if we just do all the right things. So we're not really being moved to do that sort of thing, and the virus is doing what it's doing. It's an pandemic. Yeah, pandemic is a really big thing. Yeah, epidemic is one thing. Pandemic is a really big thing. So that means that it's worldwide. That means that it is affecting the whole world, across all nations. Yeah, so that means that we can truly keep this going for a very long time, because it mutates. As a longer period of time goes on, the virus begins to mutate. And if we don't deal with this properly, it mutates to become more effective against the things that we're giving. So that's not how we should deal with this. We need to deal with this by us taking the time to get as healthy as we can while we're in isolation. Because it's unhealthiness that makes us much, much more susceptible to the process of that virus having a major effect on us. So the quicker we go into eating the right kind of food, limiting our diet, drinking a lot of water, getting some exercise, some yoga, all the things it takes that we never had the time to do before. We now have all the time in the world, but nobody is telling you to do this. And it's really what we have to do. Yeah. So since we're not doing this, there's got to be other things that come in to take the place of all these things I would teach you. Yeah. So there are alternative teachers out there, all kinds of alternative teachers out there. And a great deal of them are in the Christian group. Yeah. Because Christian groups have a tendency to think that God protects them in a very particular way. Yeah. That they don't have to wear a mask because God protects them in a very particular way. They are very adamant about God protects them in their legal right to have a gun. God protects them in their legal right to stand up for the white. Yeah, for the white people, yeah, for the people with the money, yeah, for the prestige in the world, yeah. It's those influences in Christianity that have a great deal of belief in the benefit of having God within you, yeah. Chosen people, white people, yeah, are the chosen, yeah. This is a Christian illusion and a delusion that's big. Yeah, and every race of every kind can become Christians. But if you study it, you'll find that it is a persecution scenario, and it usually does lead to a process of just like in the Catholic Church, there is a great deal of persecution and destruction and claiming that people are the lowest side, they're demonically possessed, even if they have certain characteristics, certain race, their nature in itself. All these things get persecution, from the process of Christianity by people misusing, a deluded belief that they are chosen by God, like a pope or a cult leader. Yeah, any process that does that, then every action that you take, every word that you move, everything that you do, behind it, you're under a delusion of grandeur. Yeah, and I could show you the 7 rays, and in every ray, there is a ray of delusion of grandeur. Yeah, there's a delusion of grandeur of politics as being the savior. There's a delusion of grandeur as a healer, as being the savior. There's a delusion of grandeur of gathering people together in a religious order to be a savior. Yeah, there's a delusion of grandeur of knowing everything and organizing everything and putting it into right position. Delusion of grandeur, and that's a 5th ray. There's a delusion of grandeur of killing people and destroying people and wiping out nations for the betterment of other people. That's the 4th ray. Yeah? Delusions of grandeur in any of these rays are the existence of the very things that we experience in this world. All the horrible things we cannot explain can be explained by this thing called delusions of grandeur. And it all comes from the delusion of self-destiny. Yeah? Destiny. When people of a church comes in and they claim that, King David, he was just a mortal man, he was chosen by God, and he had all these sins, or this person had all these sins, and then all of a sudden he was chosen by God, because that's what it says in the Bible. People were chosen by God, even though there were average idiots, or people who were mean, or people who were greedy. Yeah, God still chose them. Yeah, and saved Israel, or saved whatever comes into that story, because that's what shit happens. There are all kinds of people out there in delusions of grandeur. And when you're writing this Bible, when you're writing the history, you can't tell whether or not it's about delusion of grandeur and your own belief system, or you're actually writing something down that's prophecy. Yeah? So a great deal of what goes on, the reason why I was put on a cross is because of this thing of delusion of grandeur. Yeah? So consider, what if Donald Trump, many years ago, realized that he can use the Christian movement to become president? And that by listening to Pat Robertson and other leaders in the Christian movement, they were saying over the last 15 to 20 years, they were saying God is going to choose a president and anoint that president. And they're constantly trying to figure out who this is going to be, because Pat Robertson has a strong belief in the coming of the Antichrist and nuclear war and destruction in Armageddon. So they need to put in place someone who takes that position. before the coming of Christ. So here we have Donald Trump, the Antichrist, taking this position, and certain leaders of Christianity know who he is. But all the people out there are being told he is the chosen one. Select him, vote for him, follow every word he says. Because the further we go down into hell, the quicker we get to the apocalypse. And that's what these frickin' Christians are trying to pull off. And if you think, wow, I'm coming up with some really crazy stuff, well, consider this.
And there in Tulsa tested positive for coronavirus just before the rally. And if that isn't enough to make you believe the virus is still very much a crisis, there's more, a lot more. Let's take a look.
That's a different one. Yeah, let me show you this one. Yeah, here we go.
God's used imperfect people all through history. King David wasn't perfect. Saul wasn't perfect. And I said, Mr. President, I know there are people that say, you said you were the chosen one. And I said, you were.
I am the chosen one.
I think God calls all of us to fill different roles at different times, and I think that he wanted Donald Trump to become president, and that's why he's there.
Mr. President, I know there are people that say, you said you were the chosen one. And I said, you were.
What is your view kind of spiritually on the sovereignty of God and what he's doing exactly by putting Donald Trump as president of the United States?
Well, I think it goes to show that everything happens for.
So let's be clear here. Donald Trump walked in to the Christian leaders and made himself an opportunity to be a walk-in from God, to be the chosen one. And that's just what they were looking for. Well, Roberts wrote a book based on this. Yeah, a book. So all these Christians out there are all thinking, oh my God, all the top leaders of Christianity are saying, because Donald Trump walked into the office knowing what they were looking for, and he offered himself for that position in order to become president. He sold himself to the devil, his soul, and he got it. Now he's going to be ousted out, and he's going to go through a whole lot. But we need to learn that he's not alone. Michael Jackson was doing the same thing. Right after he died, his sister said, you missed the whole thing. You missed the whole point. He was the Messiah. His sister said that. Yeah. His children said that. His family in a group sat around on camera and said, you missed everything. You missed finding out that he was the Messiah. But yet, if you study Hitler, you'll find out he was in exactly the same situation as this man, because during that time, Christian leaders who weren't really Christians, but they were occult leaders, using the Christian format of the Rosicrucian. And they focused that upon Hitler, claiming that he fits the bill to the Messiah, the chosen one, just like they're doing right now with this guy. So he was psychically empowered to do what he's doing so people would follow him. That's how he became Hitler. This is happening right now in our country, in exactly the same way. And the outcome could be anarchy. What happened when Hitler came in? He literally took over the entire country and created another government, which then took over and became everything we're afraid of when we hear these things coming out of Trump, anti-black, anti-China, anti-Chinese people. If you watch the news, you'll find that there are a lot of Chinese children who cannot go back to preschool, cannot go back to school, because they're slapped in the face because they're Chinese. And they carry the virus, just like Trump says. All Chinese are the cause of the virus. Yeah? China. Chinese. Yeah? That's Trump. He's instilling in people to begin the killing of children, to begin the killing of masses of people. Yeah? I mean, he just barely got started when we saw all the fires and all the destruction, and he runs down into this little cave, hides, tells her lies and lies and lies. He always lies. He lies and says, no, I went down there just to make sure it's okay. Yeah, to inspect it. Yeah. 3 times? Yeah. In his head, the whole apocalypse is ready. He is surging everything. He's cutting off ties to every country. Yeah. That's the making of the singular country. Singular country that has no connection to the United Nations or other nations other than Korea or maybe Russia. And if he could do it, he'd have it with Cuba, but there's no getting anything from Cuba, so he don't even talk about Cuba. Yeah. His whole influence is a con game. He's using this process to move people through a hyper-spiritual illusion, part of his delusion of grandeur. You're all just wrapped up in a single person's power to create a delusion of grandeur. It was the same thing with Michael Jackson. How could he have done that? Is it because he can do a moon dance? No, he could put a spell on you. And you're so weak and deluded by following these wizards, yeah, that you just, you just go, oh, he's so cute. Oh, he's turning pale. Oh, his dance is like a girl, or he's so fancy, he's so perfect. All these things that are delusions and grandiose, yeah, comes out of his fans. The only thing that they can say is grandiose things. Same thing with Trump. If you're going to say something to him, it better be grandeur. I am the best president in the world, ever been, ever will be. Yeah. I could be the best general in the world, ever been, ever could be. Maybe, maybe not, but very likely. Yeah. I'd be the best doctor. Yeah. I'd be this, whatever. Yeah. Because he's under grandeur. Everything is a delusion. We all think he's lying. All he's doing is living inside of his delusion. But he's sucked you all in. Now you're in the United States of the Antichrist. Voted in. Due to prejudice and bias, you kill a president, you kill Bobby, you kill Martin Luther. All these things go on in the United States. You wipe out all the Native Americans. You don't talk about them. You don't do anything for them. All this poverty goes on. You do the wrong thing for people who are homeless. Bad karma. Yeah? You can't do that and think that everything's going to work out. It will massively wipe out the whole thing because God is everything. And if we don't have a centered scenario and know that there are false prophets out there, yeah, just like Jesus said, when I come, look around, because all around me will be false prophets, and all I'm going to talk about is those false prophets, and I'm going to have to clean this up in order to help you realize that you're under a spell, and it's due to curses. And this guy curses 24 hours a day. That's all he does. He curses this person, then he curses that person, then he curses this person. Oh, you're just stupid. Oh, you're unwilling to be alive. Oh, you're a liar. Oh, you're fake news. Curse this, curse that. He's just a cursor. Yeah. And he has nothing positive. He only lies when it's positive. Everything he says that's positive is a lie. And it's exaggerated. And it's diluted. And in order to do an illusion with lies, you have to allude to something. You have to have a purpose. You don't know what his purpose is. Trust me, folks, it's Armageddon. Korea has to drop a bomb. That's his mind. Russia has to get so pissed off at me, they're going to drop a bomb. He's going to create so much conflict. If you check this out, one of the things that Trump does,
it's due to the fact that all of the other leaders in white evangelical Christianity pay attention to what Pat says. And so it's a matter of not only influencing masses, but it's of influencing the influencers. And that's what CBN does so well.
this is CBN, the 700 Club. It's bigger than Christianity altogether. It is the whole entire smoosh. It's everything. Everybody watches it. Millions and millions and millions of people around the globe watch this guy. Yeah. Yeah. And if he says, vote for this guy, and puts books out saying that he's chosen, and all this is happening behind the scene, and blind faith Christians, are there, no matter what he says, they're blind to it. It all is in the book. It says it right there in the book. Oh, yeah, he could sin. He can have sex with his daughter. He can lie. He can steal. But that's, all of us are sinners. That's what it's going to say in the book. But he's still chosen by God. The outcome will be God's plan. Yeah. That's just to keep it moving. Yeah. Just to keep it going. Yeah. Because the outcome is a ending of the world. Yeah. Believing that that's got to happen before the coming of the Christ. I'm sitting right here. Yeah. I'm sitting here. Yeah. I've been here for a long time. Yeah. Yeah. And when I was 9 years old, Tibetans came to get me. Most of society has seen the movie Little Buddha. It shows very clearly. There's a little boy from America who's the reincarnation of Buddha. Yet no one in America goes looking. Nobody. Isn't that weird? There must be a lot of bad karma going on. A lot of people going with Christianity and blind faith, and a lot of people going with just plain ignorance. Yeah, and atheism and agnosticism and intellectuality. Yeah. Rather than anything. Just anything that goes on, it's the outcome of what goes on. Everybody just giving up. Yeah. So this puts us in a really weird scenario. Yeah. They come and get me at 9. I come out in late 80s. I go to London. I give this teaching, but I don't give the teaching from me. I give the teaching for 3 children. Yeah. That at that time was around 8 to 9 years old. All 3 of them. Just like in the movie. Yeah? 2 boys and a girl. Just like in the movie. Yeah? Because it was my movie. I wasn't really talking about myself. I was talking about a dilemma inside of Tibetan Buddhism that will happen, and yet the leaders of Tibetan Buddhism will turn it into chaos, rather than a harmonic way of showing it, which I did in the movie. Because I'm harmony, I'm peace, I'm the avatar of peace. Yeah? I'm not a man of chaos. Yeah? All of that is something different. Yeah? The outcome of people and dharma is a harmonious reality. It's harmonious. God's involved. 3 little children incarnate, and God's involved at such a degree everybody realizes, oh, there are aspects. They're all the same person, a manifestation out of one person, and they're aspects. And this is what happened with the Karmapa. He incarnated in reality into 3 children. I recognized them. Yeah. I gathered them together and blessed every single one of them and recognized them. But the Dalai Lama walks in there and says, I can't see anything. Okay, you tell me this one is, because the Chinese say this one is Karmapa, and Taisa Rinpoche said this one is Karmapa. Okay, I'll sign. And then Shambhala Rinpoche comes in and says, why'd you do that? You don't do that. No one's ever done this before. Interfering in our relationship of reincarnation and finding our teachers. No one does that. Well, how did this happen? And he goes, well, it's too late now. Shambhala Rinpoche talked me into it. So this guy has no telepathy and ability to recognize the Tuku, even though that's who he is believed to be. I can show you hundreds of Tukus who are lost and have no recognition of their past life. They may get the name, but they have no history. They can't get the history because the history is usually wiped out by the previous lives of the Dalai Lama. So when these people reincarnate, they reincarnate from a period of chaos, and that happened to the Karmapa. He's gone many cycles of chaos. And when he came back into this incarnation, there was a real big dilemma to take place. But that dilemma had to do with me solving the problem and not the Dalai Lama. And I solved it by telepathy. I made it possible for people to see at least 2 incarnations manifested. So now we have 2 Karmapas, recognized and enthroned and recognized in their own monastic reality, slowly but surely gathering together. But yet, there is a girl Karmapa, never been recognized, never been enthroned, never been talked to in that way other than from me. And now she has absolutely no way. Now imagine the loss of the Holy Spirit inside of every living child when the highest person in Tibetan Buddhism is the Karmapa. And at this time, the Karmapa manifests into 3 aspects, which is a blessing 3 times 1. And if any one of them is not giving their blessing, all of you suffer, all of you, because this is the master affecting below, and it raises everybody up. So it's beyond your wildest imagination what the Dalai Lama did, creating such a scenario. Shambhala Rinpoche even came to me, and Taisata Rinpoche came to me at the very earliest stage. I took him right to the girl, had him sit there, had a group of lamas, high lamas, that are there only to recognize the incarnation of Karmapa, and he knew that I was right there in the middle of the process of an incarnation of the Karmapa, and I was going to introduce him to him. But when he found out it was a girl, he didn't want anything to do with it. He said, I will not question whether or not this is the Karmapa. It is simply not. And he's the one that caused the problem of not recognizing the other Karmapa as a male. He still can't see. He can't see because he has demons inside of him. The demons keep you from seeing. He thinks he's the chosen one. Just like Trump. And there are Rinpoches all around him that have been murdered, poisoned, tricked into driving a wreck of a car off a cliff. Jamkang Khenpo Rinpoche was killed by Taisata Rinpoche. In order to keep this process of recognizing the blessing that I gave to this planet. But I got the movie out. It comes out, it's got a little Buddha, and yet no one's looking for Buddha. No one's looking for the American Buddha, let alone 3 aspects of them. They think it's just a fantasy because they're living in a delusion. They think Jesus is a fantasy because we're living in a delusion. All the false prophets are in delusion, and they're your teachers. Therefore, you can't see beyond the delusion that they're constantly putting at you at the most powerful lower psychic level. Now, I mean lower psychic level. So imagine you got Pat Robertson and all these Christians who are praying. But what is it that's coming out of them? Is it really Jesus? Is it really God? Or is it ambition? And a real lack of connection, and they can't see. Because I've been here for a long time. I've made this statement in the early 1990s. Yeah, when I brought Little Buddha into the movie. Yeah. And then in the year 2000, I was enthroned. Yeah. This is the highest hat of Tibetan Buddhism. It's the highest hat. When they do a ceremony, a sand painting, and they do the highest level of the guru, for all the things that they do in a ceremony, they take that hat and officially imagine that the guru, which is Vajradhara, is incarnated and presenting that energy to their ceremony as a member of the blessing, even though he may not be sitting there, but at least they're acknowledging the existence of Vajradhara. Yeah? You know, so they make the hat for me and they put it on me and they do this great big ceremony in Kathmandu. Yeah? And this is the year 2000. And I go from there and I go on into Tibet and I do ceremonies, yeah, again, and all the way to 2003. Yeah? And I made the movie Little Buddha. I did this. I get online and I put websites out telling people that I'm here. Yeah? Helping people realize that I'm here. And I tell everybody who this guy, you know, that we call Michael Jackson is, you know, and Sai Baba and all the false prophets. You know, I spent all my time trying to help. Yeah. But, you know, everybody would just go, well, I'm more interested in Sai Baba. He's a real guru. Or I'm interested in the Pope. You know, he's a real prophet. Or I'm interested in this other evangelical guy. You know, he's a real prophet. You know, and I'm just me. Yeah. You know, if I was a part of a group and the head of that group, then I can have a title, because this material world is full of materialism. Yeah. And rather than the reality of recognizing something that's acknowledged as a spiritual being, a very rare thing inside of our human race. And it's only a large group of masters that do such a thing, and it's not something that's done in LA, not something that's done anywhere. It's done high in the mountains of the Himalayas. Yeah. And you can read about it, you can study it, yeah, and it's true, you know. So that's the course that I took. Yeah. And by the year 2005, I'm responsible for healing the world. And yet not one person. You know, I have a total of 13 students. 13 students in the whole world. Yeah? Who can find enough soul to consider actually helping me. And they would work with me and open dharma centers and help get my tools out to people and tell people that I existed. Yeah? That's all they needed to do. That's what I needed. Yeah? Because it's not about me running around saying I'm this. It's about other people sharing. Yeah? Yeah, so that goes on. I only have 13. I still only have 13. Less than that now, I think. But, you know, that's it. And it's not because God chooses me to always only have 13 disciples, you know. It's because of the influence of spirituality has a number to it. Everything has a number to it, yeah. And whether or not your relationship to harmony is at the rate that allows you to fall in line into a high number, that gives you a place of destiny, yeah. It's not a physical thing. It's just reality. Yeah? Yeah. And if I heal more and more and more and more and more, the numbers increase. Yeah? And more people are allotted the ability, and they're not chosen. Nobody's chosen. Just the numbers go up. The number right now is 13. Yeah? And it doesn't matter who you are. The names could change. Everything changes. The numbers now are 13 because it's all about numbers. Yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah. And yet, you know, this isn't something anybody teaches. Yeah. Yeah. So we're stuck in a process where we have an enormous amount of delusions of grandeur that manifest through pretty much everything that we do. Yeah. And so in the world, we have news media, we have the Christian relationship, we have people who get stirred up in that and say, oh, black matters, and all separatists process, because they're the ones who are suffering. Everybody who's been separated and been pushed into their scenario as part of what this higher elite group does, that has money and is highly biased and makes choices and laws and breaks those laws and has no heart. They just say, sure, you've been here for 30 years, but you got to leave tomorrow. You're from Mexico. Sure, your kid was born here, but it's got to leave tomorrow. You're from Mexico because the president doesn't like you. Doesn't like you. Come to find out the president doesn't like anybody. So consider yourself chosen. Because that's what the Antichrist is going to do. He's going to instill into people inertia. And imagine we have a great big virus. Well, what do we have? We have inertia. It's the only thing we have. We have people who protest, but that's only because the inertia continues and then explodes and goes off in a left-hand spin. So then you got all kinds of people explaining why they're all pent up and they don't have the right to get out of the house, and all these things that they believe are necessary, that they're being told by the false prophet, who's supposed to be telling you, let's do the right thing. And at the same time, you get all these scientists and heartfelt people that are very calm, and just saying, there's truth, there's reality, and we're going to help you by understanding that we're in really bad shape. This is really bad. Something really terrible is happening here, and it's going to get worse. And that means people are going to die. The numbers are going to go higher, which means within this group, one of you may be missing next year. We have that can include me, that can include her, that can include you, and any of you. If you're thinking in terms of truth, we have to consider that this is a pandemic. And if the pandemic hits us and we're not doing anything about our health, then we are one of those people in the group of susceptibility. We have close to diabetes. Well, that person's dead. If you even have anything close to diabetes, you're dead if you get this virus. If you have weakness in your blood pressure, you're dead. And you most likely you never take your blood pressure, even though I tell everybody you got to take your blood pressure all the time. Because these are things that if you don't get them at the healthiest state of being 30 years old, and keep them that way, then when these things come along, you're going to be susceptible. You're going to be the one in the ambulance. You're going to be the one who goes onto the side of dying and having those horrible symptoms, because it debilitates you, your brain, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, your nervous system. Once you go through it and you almost died 2 or 3 times, you come out of it 1/10 the person you were before you had the illness. There's no way you can change it. Cellularly, everything has been changed. So we got to do everything to avoid that. Because if we don't and we get it, if we listen to Trump says, he said that imagine a 7-year-old kid next to you, and it's got the sniffles. Now, you could test it, and find out whether or not it has the virus. And he says, and then you'll get a positive. But 15 minutes later, he won't have any symptoms. He'll be healthy. That's what he said. 15 minutes later, he'll be healthy. Because this virus is nothing, is what he's saying. It's nothing and has no negative effect on you once you get it. That's what he's saying. And whether you're hearing it on the news, whether or not you're hearing it in any place, he is the president, which means he has hundreds of thousands of Christians and satanic ritualizers all focused on his heartlessness and your heartlessness, because you're a family. That makes sense? And whether you like it or not, you're a family. You're members of the United States. Yeah? And we're all in this. And we're affected by everything that comes in. And if we realize that we are a part of a psychic influence, yeah, and that if we don't jump in and do very healthy things, yeah, then we can't counteract the psychic stuff that's coming at us that we're not aware of, that is pushing us not to do unhealthy things. That's called inertia. Yeah? And people put off, they go, oh, yeah, and then finally 10 years down the road, they go, okay, well, I'm going to start exercising today. But the arthritis is already there. The heart problem's already there. Dementia's already started. A little late. Yeah? Inertia. And that's the force that comes in with blind faith. Blind faith, if you haven't got your attention toward this guy and all that, there's a numbness about the actions that are going on that side. And they affect your interactions to things that you should do. Yeah? So everybody has to do whatever they can to try and affect those changes, because I've been here for a long time and I built this center. Yeah? And this center has a vibratory situation for the whole entire planet. Yeah? Whether or not I'm recognized or not, the focus is that I'm still the head of Buddhism. And that means I'm the head of Christianity. Yeah? Because in history, Jesus was the last incarnated Buddha. Yeah? That's in history. Yeah? So that moves from the incarnation of Siddhartha to the incarnation of Jesus to my incarnation. So there's a lineage process that goes on, and we are in the days, right now, of the fulfillment of the coming of Christ. So I've already been here. I'm 69 years old. Christ has come. Yeah? And there's no Christ is going. Yeah? This is just the beginning. Yeah? My door stays open. Yeah? Yeah? It's the door of the astral plane that is closing. Yeah? These people are going and not returning. Yeah? As long as this is effective, Jesus Christ on earth, not some channeled gooseneck idiot, but the real thing, manifested, incarnated by the natural process that goes on with God in destiny. It's a natural process. But this Trump and these people and their religious is an unnatural process. They are playing a game of experimentation in magic. And they are experimenting with a man called Donald Trump and their philosophical belief system that God will anoint this person and turn them into the characters of the Bible and save the world. But the heads of it aren't thinking that way. Yeah? If you listen to all the politicians and people who believe in this, they believe in it up to that point. But they're not aware of what is behind the scene. Behind the scene is an apocalypse of nuclear holocaust, seen by the heads of these churches. And until that happens, there will be no coming of Christ. So they have to move it into effect. That's what's going on. Yeah? That's why he went to Korea. That's why he's buddying with Russia. So that something horrible will happen between Russia and America. And they will start really questioning Russia on every single thing. And Russia being as negative as they are, and egotistical and prideful, they're going to push against it. Yeah? They're going to do more spies. They're going to do anything they want. Yeah? Because this is a very weak president. Yeah? And this is what the Antichrist is all about. Yeah? It's the process of delusions of the nations and separating the nations and creating what's in the apocalypse. Yeah? What it says in the apocalypse, the destruction of the world by gathering together, yeah, of a one world government. Yeah? And if you study these religious people and this religious dogma that they play and the science that they use in a form of metaphysical conjuring, thinking that they're actually doing it in the name of Jesus Christ. But I've seen a whole lot of Christians out there saying things in the name of Jesus Christ and people getting up and walking like they're healed, but they all were paid money to do that, and none of them were unhealthy at the time. So I believe that this is a scam. Yeah? Now you're all just in this hope that there's some kind of influence and relationship to that, but there's not. The only relationship to God you have is one person, and that's Jesus Christ. Until I get here, you don't have me standing here to tell you these things. And you're going to have all these antichrists right in front of you until that day comes. And I came in 1951, I stopped the nuclear wars, I ended most things that are going on, and I still have this going on. So we need to be aware of what's really happening. Yeah? That this guy literally is joined in to be the Antichrist, to fulfill the mission of the Antichrist, which is a nuclear war, an apocalypse. Now the apocalypse says in the Bible, it says plague, yeah, part of the apocalypse, plague, weather, total destruction, yeah, earthquakes, yeah, total destruction. Now we got a guy who doesn't want to do anything for ecology. He wants to get rid of all that and get more nuclear, get more coal, get more fossil fuel, anything. Yeah? Because that moves us to the apocalypse faster. Yeah? Keeping us from higher mind. Keeping us from the fact that why are we doing all these positive things if we're going to end up in an apocalypse? He's in the apocalypse. He's the leader of the apocalypse. That's why he doesn't want those things, because they don't exist in his world. They don't exist there. The world doesn't exist. Does that make sense? Yeah? And all of you are sitting in his same boat. When you reincarnate and you see all these floppy windmills, you know, and you wonder how is it all this took place, and now we're in, you know, the year 2080, and it's all gray and we seem like we're Russians now. Yeah, we don't have a general language. Yeah, because we let go of all that, like what's going on in Seattle. Yeah, and we just tolerate any nation coming in, any groups, anything coming in with language and all, without focusing upon a reality of harmony. Yeah, and unification. Yeah. A simple understanding, you know, how we built the Congress, how we built everything. It's all put down there without any prejudice, without any harm to anybody, but it's all based on the coming of Christ. Yeah? It's not based on a president or a bunch of other things. The Constitution is all based on the fact that we are in great trouble. Yeah? And we have to follow these preambles because we're not there. Far from there. Yeah? We have all kinds of problems. Yeah? So many problems we even had to write into it. The one thing we should have never wrote into it is that we all have the right to bear arms. Yeah? That is absolutely untrue. Absolutely untrue. Yeah? We as a collective have a right to gather and defend ourselves. Yeah? But not sit in your house and shoot the neighbor next door like it's showing in England. Yeah? All over, there's an enormous elemental process of this negative left-hand spin that's externalizing as personality. Yeah? It has to do with this psychic force. Yeah? So we're going to see in January an exorcism. Yeah? There's massive exorcisms going on. But when all this goes on, I need you to really consider it's only happening, the good side of this, it's only happening because I'm here. Yeah? Because I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah? And I'm just fascinated that I've been allowed to stay alive and continue the process, because I have many lives that last for thousands of years. Yeah, I've been around millions and millions and millions of years. Yeah, most of my family live at least 1,000 years. Yeah, in history. Yeah, so I'm not in that process. Yeah, whatever is, it is. I live 60 years, it is. I live 100 years, it is. Yeah, but my process is that I need to get across to you that I will never, ever not be here. And that this is about the recognition of the Tibetan group that I facilitated to realize reincarnation as a group. And in our heart, we have compassion that when these children return, we knew them as adults, they saved our souls, and we owe it to them. Yeah? To feed them, house them, and help them recapitulate and save our souls again when they mature, which they will do, always. But if you think you're going to save your soul and you don't have this knowledge, this reality of reincarnation, and there are masters and they're small in number, yeah, and that they're out there. But it's just like I keep telling you, I have to feed these people because no one else does. Yeah, I have to support them because no one else does. I have to build their monasteries because no one else does. The Dalai Lama tells them half of them are wrong in what they're doing. Yeah, kick everybody out. Yeah, and yet I don't do that. Yeah, I never at any time put anything that created a hostile, aggressive change in the Dharma. Yeah, the Dharma is an ever-flowing, ever-growing thing. That's the wonderful thing about it. But we are in a process to where we have demons inside of Tibet that are grabbing the Dharma and turning it into chaos by doing bad karma. And when they do bad karma, they do it for everybody, and it creates havoc. So little Buddha, you can't understand it as the Karmapa, even though there's 2 incarnations. You didn't even know there were 3, because the Dalai Lama and Taisattu Rinpoche doesn't allow you to know this. Yeah? And even the incarnation of Jesus Christ, Buddha himself, is kept from your view. Yeah? And yet, I was enthroned in Tibetan Buddhism, in every major monastery of Tibetan Buddhism. But did CNN cover it? Nope. Did anybody come back from that and make it wildly known from all the people who were there in those events? Nope. Just me. I would come back, put it online, then get harassments from people saying these are all false pictures. There's no possibility of anybody like you had been enthroned or all that. Every time I put something out, I always got a negative reaction, because there was no one else going out there, supporting the fact that this is an externalization. And I'm very open. I'm 100% open about it. I was one of the first people to make a website. Truly, one of the very first people to make a website and put it online declaring the incarnation of Jesus Christ. Showing crop circles, showing the incarnations of different tukus, all this stuff started in the very first website, Signs of Christ. Yeah? That didn't make anything other than just, the guy who helped me on that ended up in prison for helping me to establish that site. And he was harassed all through his life, even up to today, for having that involvement. Yeah. Yeah. It's just amazing. Just amazing. This is in England. Yeah. So we've got an enormous amount of change to make, because you literally have had many antichrists in America. There's many antichrists in India. There's many antichrists in India. There's an antichrist in Nepal. Yeah. There's many antichrists, not just one. But they're part of a group. Yeah. And they have a plan. And their plan is chaos. Yeah. If you're not who you say you are, you're a liar. If you are a liar, what you're saying is that you're making it up. Now, everybody who comes in on that, all of a sudden, can't actually look into anything, because then they'd find the truth and then they'd lose faith. So by having faith, it keeps you from looking. And that's where Trump's at. Don't look into me. Don't look into my taxes. Don't look into my past. Don't look into my pedophilia. Don't look at my lawsuits for all the little boys that I raped. Don't look at it. Yeah? Yeah. Even though they're there to be seen in the public. But as far as I can tell, no one's looking at it. No one's checking it out. Yeah? No one's checking out all these false prophets. Just like Sai Baba. No one really checked him out. He was having sex with all these little boys, 10 or 12 a night. No one checked him out. The guy died of old age. Yeah? That shouldn't have happened. Yeah? Michael Jackson was having sex with little boys. One after another, after another, after another. And they were an average of 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old. Once they were 14, they were too old. And he would move on to a younger kid. All this documented and verified and seen by witnesses at the ranch. But yet no one can get it out of their head. The demons are still in there. Yeah? Does that make sense? The demons of delusion that were put in there by the deluder. Yeah? Yeah? So that has a major effect on what would be a soul turns into a personality. Yeah? And now you got to deal with the same kind of delusions of grandeur. You wonder why you have pride. You wonder why you have jealousy. You wonder why you have a reaction like that. Well, maybe somebody beat me up as a child or something. No. It's because these people are pedophiles. Horrible, absolutely horrible people. Yeah, horrible. Trump, yeah. All these people, they all are together. Yeah. Even the Queen of England's son. You know, who you think, oh, he's as pure as silk. Yeah. He's a pedophile. Yeah. But just simply because he's the Prince of England, yeah, that's okay. Let's not ask too many questions because we would have to think differently. You know? Yeah. Because there's a whole lot that goes on. All of this is a false prophecy and a delusion of grandeur, and it's an astral door that's wide open. And when these terrible things come up, like what would happen if Korea wanted to bomb us? Are you ready? No, not at all. Are you prepared? Not even a little bit. No. How about if someone wanted to give us a chemical warfare? Yeah. Like Iran, Iraq, yeah, Pakistan. We know that's exactly what they're waiting for. That's what they do. That's why we went and stopped the war of Kuwait. Because we believed they had massive chemical weapons. And they really didn't, but they were in process of making them. And they were using them all around. People were dying, you know. So we really have all of this all sitting around us, waiting to come at us. And are you prepared? No. No. Yeah. No, you live in a city. Yeah. People who live here will live. People who live in the city will die. Yeah. But it's just, you know, this blind faith, this bullshit that city of New York is God's country. Yeah? And San Francisco is anointed by St. Francis. It's also got to be a holy place. Yeah? All these delusions that come into it, where behind the scene there is an enormous amount of delusion. Yeah? And it has to have an illusion. It alludes to something. It moves people to be something. Just like they're being something, you have to be something for them to exist. Yeah? You have to be weak. You have to be docile. You have to have inertia. Yeah? You have to not understand. Yeah? Because if everything they tell you isn't the truth, then all you're going to have is misunderstanding. And the information that you get is only going to be based on knowledge. Yeah? Because they're going to tell you lies. Now you got to use knowledge to figure out those lies, whether or not they're true. So you have to spend all your time backtracking over lies in order to live your life. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's an enormous astral process that we're in this voting process, in this manipulative game that comes out of the words of every single person that works with Trump. Yeah. They are channeling. Yeah. He is chosen by Satan. And every one of them, whether it be Pat Robertson, I don't care who it is, it's not just having faith in Trump. It's just the fact that right now we have so much TV and movies and other things that are demonically possessed in every way and everywhere. Our food, everything, our schools, our colleges, everything is completely impressed by this thing. Yeah. So there's no possible way you could see me, or you would have a friend who would tell you about me. Yeah. It's a very rare scenario. It happens, but it's a rare scenario. Yeah. But we're more psychically moved by invisible processes we don't know what's going on. Just like I just showed you. You didn't know Pat Robertson. You didn't know all these books were made about him being literally Christ. This is who he's presented to the people. The people believe that this man Trump is the chosen one, and the chosen one is Christ. Yeah? So they're just thinking, they're just being led into a movie plot. Yeah? And all movie plots are just an illusion, alluding to something. Then you get this outcome in the end. Yeah, but it's still a movie, folks. It never really happened. It doesn't exist. The whole thing, the whole plot of what is coming down doesn't have anything to do with God's plan. Yeah? So with me being in the world, I am effectively counteracting this process, but in that process, it's going to bring an enormous amount of exorcism inside of human beings. There's no way around it. I can't change it. Yeah? I would like it to be different. I came quietly. Yeah? I came silently. Yeah? I came and said nothing. I just helped. I helped and helped and helped 24 hours a day, every single day, at all times. I served in the service. I served in the military. I served in the Marines. Really? Jesus Christ, that's quite a service. Yeah? All the things that I have done and all that I'm doing is the way in which I untie this. When I went in the service, I went in as a conscious objector. I allowed them to beat me up. I allowed them to throw me out of the window. I allowed them to break my legs. I allowed them. Yeah? Yeah? And at the end of that, it was the end of the Vietnam War. Yeah? So I'm just standing there against everybody who is effectively being moved by Satan to create an apocalypse, written into this delusion that we all seem to think we have to fulfill. We all thought the Mayans was going to be the end of the world. We all thought the year 2000 would be the end of the world. Yeah? All these things, people go to the top of the mountain, sell all their house and everything else, the end of the world. Yeah? People have that in them so much because every false prophet is a prophet of doom. Every single cult leader is a cult leader of doom. Every Jesus, every Messiah that comes out always says, apocalypse. Going to come. No doubt about it. It's not going to come. I am here to keep it from happening. Yeah? But in order to do that, there's going to be an enormous psychic exorcism that will happen inside of people. And it's not about people turning against people, but it's about people beginning to realize they're demons. And that's going to be a really upsetting experience. Very upsetting. Because you have to look in the mirror and see that demon. You're going to have to change your clothes. You're going to have to change your look. Yeah. All these things that make up your personality are things that are inside. Yeah. And you have no idea that that's what goes on. They don't come out until you get jealous. They don't come out until you get angry. They don't come out until those emotional body expressions come out, because they're all under your solar plex. All those demons are pushed down there like that. So they just animate you to be the person that you are. But you're not free. Yeah? And for this to work, everybody has to be given the blessing. Yeah? So I today began a process of working with Native Americans on a really large scale. Yeah? And we gave offerings to each other, yeah, to offer Jesus Christ, the incarnation of Jesus Christ, into the Native American world. Yeah? And all the nations became aware of me. A video was done, and this will all be broadcasted out to all the nations and all the leaders of Native Americans. And we're not talking Americans, yeah, because those people are possessed by Satan. They can't see me, yeah. But there is a very high susceptibility in Tibetans and Native Americans to see me, yeah, because they're the same people. They just went across the land straits, and I've been teaching them, and we come from the same very old family out of the Himalayas. Yeah? So there's an enormous transmission, counteracting the process of this inertia. Everything I teach is in the words and the mouth of the teachers of the Native American. They're not false prophets. Yeah? Many of them are misled, you know, in their own delusion. Yeah? And their own misguidance, yeah? But that's not all. It's only just a few, and it happens everywhere, yeah? But by general reality, at the largest reality, these people hold the Great Spirit, yeah? And they are not led by lower nature and its relationship of separation, yeah? They very much want to unify with everybody and everything. They want to give that. So they're the teachers. Yeah, these are the teachers that will come out into the world, the Tibetan teachers and the Native American teachers. And these are the people that I'm taking relationship with right now so that we can come together. So I have all of Tibet. I have tens of hundreds of thousands of people of Tibet meditating and doing pujas with me every week. Yeah, the highest masters of Tibet, men and women in their monasteries, do long life pujas for both me and Tara and all of us, yeah? All sentient beings, yeah? So all of this now is being grandiosely being increased by the United States, because the United States is actually ushered in through the foundation of the Native American. They were here for millions of years, yeah? So they hold the unified field that comes with the soul inside the body of the earth. And once they make a firm decision inside themselves, they raise themselves up. But up to now, they've had no leader, no higher light holding them in that higher light of the Holy Spirit. And they couldn't raise themselves up. And they would just be trotted down by all these Satan people who came to America and wiped them out and enslaved them, enslaved everybody else after that. Yeah? You know, so all of that right now is in a blessing. That's going to create an exorcism. It'll create an exorcism inside the Native Americans. It's creating a big exorcism inside of Tibetan Buddhism, yeah, because they're the ones who receive the light. Not people in America or the people of Tibet, but the students, yeah, the high Rinpoches, the high chiefs, yeah, all the holy men of Native Americans, which are millions, yeah, all of that come into a place to where they have to work out the dweller on the threshold in order to receive me. Yeah, so I'm here for as long as it takes for me to bring about the healing of the nations by the healing of the masters, who are the true prophets that you will meet in your future lives. Yeah, yeah, it's your future. Yeah, it's everything. It's how we created this country, and it's how all countries are manifested. All the temples and the pyramids and all these things you can't figure out, we built them. Yeah? And that includes you. It's just that you're asleep, and the rest of them that I'm trying to wake up are more awake than you are. Yeah? So by waking them up and giving you the information to realize they exist and all of you are being woken up, we've got the Antichrist right in front of us. Yeah? And that Antichrist includes the leader of Russia and the leader of Korea. And their finger next to a nuclear bomb is very close. And they have absolutely no hesitation in thought that they would lose. They don't really think they would lose. Yeah? Because you don't know that Russia and Korea are cahoots. If Russia pushes a button, Korea pushes a button. One's not going to do one separately. This will be an agreed upon situation, and China will be the third party. Yeah? So a world war based on these three major groups. And those three groups, if you study it, they are all one group. They all get their military, they all get their money, they all get everything from those three groups. Korea, North Korea, China, and Russia. Yeah? And these are the only really main people on a large mass scale that has been against the making of democracy in the world. And they've gone from one war after another, First World War, Second World War, Third World War, Vietnam. All of that is based on this. Even Korean, North Korea, South Korea, all is just leading up to where we're at today. And this is the outcome of that. All of them have nuclear warheads. Yeah, we saw that little guy in Korea just happy as a jovial devil, you know, pushing buttons and watching them go up and saying, yep, that one will reach California. Yep, that one will reach Hawaii. Yep, that one will reach Omaha. Yes, this one reaches New York. Yeah, and he's got a lot of missiles. All of his money goes into it. Yeah. So there is a set plan, an illusion in a false religion that believes there has to be an apocalypse. So these false leaders are all pushing toward that to happen. Yeah. 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 So we need to really consider what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah. That I'm a one-man show. I am Jesus Christ. I am only just one guy. And I do not have tens of millions of students, and although I have students like that. But when it comes down to the people who are hanging out with me, it's like in really low numbers, because I'm not that guy. I'm not a guy that has, you know, like a bunch of fans. I'm just not interested. It's just not something I radiate out. It's not something I ask for. Yeah? You know, so that's what happens when you don't have delusions of grandeurs. You don't manifest this process that alludes to people to have to join. Yeah? And it drives people into doing something they shouldn't do. Yeah? Or in my case, I'm only interested in healing people. And if people heal at a larger number, then a larger number of people can actually be in Shambhala and work with me. Because if you come here and try and work, you're going to go nuts. Nobody makes it. I mean, these 13 people have gone through all they had to go through just to make it through the week. And now nothing affects them. Nothing bothers them that much. They don't go crazy. They don't have mental, emotional processes, yeah, and all kinds of anger issues, all kinds of emotional issues, all kinds of things, yeah. And if you got any of that going on, you come in here, it's amplified by 100%. And you start saying stupid things, and you start wanting to rule and, you know, fix everything, and, you know, and tell everybody you don't really know what you're doing, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And it's just that personality within a month burns that person out, and they pack their bags and they're gone. Yeah, and it's normal. It happens every single time. Yeah, just simply because I don't put a regime together to where dogma is manifested. Coming from dogma, that's what you're expecting when you go into something like this. But there's no dogma manifested. I don't do anything. You know, I don't force anybody to do anything. You know, I mean, it's a very weird thing because of all the misuse done by all the false prophets. They do it for their own personal gain. Yeah? And in the process of all the true teachers, their biggest thing is that they have no spiritual energy on a negative side. which makes people subservient. They're fighting to make people equal, helping people to heal what it is they think in themselves is lesser. So they they do things, they're not pure, they're not clean. All those things is what's making them lesser. So the teacher helps to heal those things, rather than expecting, you got to be different, because that's not the point. The point is that you are impure. And that's the case for all of us. So we have to purify. We have to realize this is a big game. This is really going on. Time is passing, and we need to clearly recognize the blessings that are at hand. If we can, larger numbers of people can get to a point to where they're meditating and aligning to the reality at hand. Imagine there's a healing center here, and I'm Jesus, Well, everybody would love to go back 2,000 years and meet Jesus before he goes on the cross. Everybody would love that. Well, hello. Here you go. And I'm not angry, I don't think, whoa, you're a Jew, get away, I don't have any of those experiences. I'm a totally different guy than you would ever imagine. But I'm the guy. And all this is accredited in all the right ways that was supposed to be done through Buddha. It's a higher consciousness order. It's not Christianity. Christianity is, they don't even know if Jesus existed. Buddhism, they are sure. They are sure, because they were there when he was there, and they continued the teaching and continued, and then I reincarnated as Jesus 500 years later, and I affirm it, and I reestablish all those same teachings. So Buddhism is a foundation, and it externalizes how we can balance this thing out. So it's a very difficult process in order to heal this on your own. So I put this pyramid together, I've allowed myself to be enthroned, and I've gone through all those processes. But this exorcism is a process of bringing people into this world that are doing things so bad, like the guy who's the pedophile that was caught and committed suicide, the other guy who was raping all the women, and Epstein, and the guy in Hollywood, and and Michael Jackson, and everybody. We're not at a pure enough state to where we can go, oh well, we need to do something about it. But then now when we get to Epstein, we've gone through it so many times that we're purified more than we were back in Michael Jackson's day, back in Hitler's day, back in Sai Baba's day, Those things can go on. The heads of FBI was a transgender dresser, and no one knew that. And that's why he was so angry at so many people. Because he was living a double life and he had so many impurities. He wanted to rule the FBI. No other person was meant to be the head of the FBI other than this guy, J. Edgar Hoover. One of the creepiest people you'll ever meet in your life was J. Edgar Hoover. Just so creepy. As a pedophile, he was everything you could ever imagine. And he wanted to judge everybody. So everything we've got is people who are actually the people they're complaining about. Like Trump, he complains this and this and this, but he's the one doing all of that. It's not about anybody outside. It's him. So all the things in these false prophets are now coming back around to where we're able to see they're the cause, and we're not being affected by their delusion. That's the first exorcism, is a revelation of purity, so that we as a mass, only people at the weakest level will vote for that person, rather than larger numbers of people who is just deluded by the Christian element of belief and hope and faith. Because you don't know the guy, but you're accepting that this is going to go on. So in order to heal this is the meditations. If you can pass on to people the fact that I do these meditations, that they're done on a nightly basis. Many of the teachings, they're very difficult for people to understand and get. So I repeat them, not nightly, but they're repeated in ways so that you can take the time to listen to it and be affected by the influence of what I'm talking about and how I'm counteracting and dispelling these delusions of glamour. Yeah? That's the whole thing, is to be able to spell that. The problem is that you don't know that they're existing because you are the existence of the delusion of glamour. Yeah? You just don't know it. Any illness you have, any accident you ever get into, anything you got going on that's a conflict in your mind between another person or a problem in life is the fact that you are hit by a delusion of grandeur, whether it be by your family or your business or the world around you. Yeah? It's the amount of energy that keeps you from being able to receive your soul. Yeah? And it's beyond hard to get that, yeah? So the influence of being able to save soul is the influence of being able to save the earth from the influences that's going on. Yeah? And it's all being done intellectually in a well planned out scenario. So you've got to take higher mind and relax on a day-to-day basis. You got to take higher mind and you got to do things that are good for your health in an orderly way. If you take vitamins every day for a year, every day for a year, you will begin benefiting. Yeah? If you take vitamins once, maybe a few days later, and you continue doing that for a year, you'll get no benefit. Yeah? Accumulated benefit is how this works. You water a plant, not every other day, not whenever you feel like it, or it's going to be a dead plant, a mutant plant. No flowers, no nothing, hardly a leaf, and it's just like hanging. But it still lives. Joy for still living. Yeah? And that's how we treat ourselves. The same way we do things that we don't give what it takes for that to grow. So you've got to exercise in a consistent way. Yeah? And you can't think, I walk a lot, or I stand a lot, and I get real tired from that. You can't think that. You got to go way beyond that to the point to where I have to exercise hard, just for 1 hour out of a 24-hour day. You get to sleep for 8 hours, you get to do whatever you're going to do for the rest of the day, but just give yourself 1 hour daily, yeah? And then make sure you take your vitamins every day. Make sure you drink the right amount of water every day. Make sure you eat every day in the right way, yeah? Your breakfast is well cooked, well made, with love, and it's powerful. Powerful food. Your lunch is the same way. Powerful food. You're putting enormous nutrients into yourself. You're not putting a whole lot of bad things at all into yourself, and you're doing it consistently. Yeah? Rather than just having, inertia, which is what most people do. Oh, I didn't have time to make a lunch. I'm out. I'm going to stop by Burger King. Yeah? That's not my rule. My rule is if you're going to leave and you're not going to be here for lunch, you have to pack a lunch and take it with you. Yeah? And if we're having cookies, make sure you take a cookie with you. Treat yourself well at all times. No different than whether you're here or you're not here. You have to do what is right. Yeah? And the options and opportunities that I'm helping to provide is good habits. Day-to-day good habits. Yeah? And you have no idea how that's going to make the difference in the rest of all your lives if you can live this out for a good long period of time. Just the simpleness of ceremonial order. Right relationship in every way. It slowly but surely changes your chakra alignments by behaving day to day in a way in which would benefit you, rather than being in inertia, do nothing that would benefit you, just exist, and come out with all these diseases and dementia and everything else that's going to come your way. Yeah. So meditation to me, after all those things, is the number one thing, because we're 99.9% spiritual. Only 1% of us is this material thing that we have to feed, we have to wake up, we have to sleep. We need a well-rounded sleep. Yeah. We need to be able to, get these things in our lives, rather than thinking, oh, I got all these things to do, and I can't remember what time I need to do this, or they should come natural. Yeah? It's when you got this, your Holy Spirit and the upside pattern, then you're trying to take care of everybody's business. Yeah? And you're constantly actively in everybody's business, or doing shit that's constantly doing too many things at one time. Yeah? And that leaves you without any ability to remember what it is you were going to do next for yourself. Yeah? Because you got all these other activities going on outside yourself. Yeah? So one of the key things in yoga is self. Yeah? You do these things for yourself. You take the vitamins for yourself. You eat your breakfast good for yourself. You exercise for yourself. Yeah? And this is not a selfish thing. Even though it seems like a selfish thing, it's the opposite of being selfish. It's being selfless. Because now you are going to be there to be of service without, the inertia of, oh, I just can't do this. I'm getting old and I have to retire. I'm a whole 50 years old, and I can't quite carry myself up that stairs, anymore. But if you really tried and you really kept yourself moving, you'd find yourself staying at about 40 years old with all the same problems you had at 40. You're going to continue, and you just continue doing things in an orderly fashion. Yeah. So meditation is number one. I recommend meditation because it aligns the relationship of our existence, why we are here. I say, give yourself time, 1 hour exercise. Give yourself time, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Give yourself time to do these things for yourself, yeah? And when you meditate, you give yourself time to align to God, the essence of God, because it's just like nothing, So you really got to be nothing in order to tune in to nothing, yeah? But if you get the wrong concept, thinking, oh, God's the most powerful thing, God's like super anxious, like God's got things to do, I want God to use me as a channel, I want more things to do, that is not what you should be meditating on, yeah? You should be meditating on the reality of whatever it is I got to do, I do, and I do it good, yeah? I do it really good, yeah? And the more you think in those terms, the more you're willing to see what it is you're not doing good, yeah? But if you constantly think of yourself as a person who can't really do this that well, or that person's better off doing it, or this or that, you're completely losing your ability to self-realize. Yeah? So it's really important to, when you're meditating, you have complete emptiness. Yeah? So I focus on having people listen to my puja, so that, because their mind doesn't think in terms of my thoughts, my words, yeah? So if you listen to the puja, it shuts you down completely, yeah? Because these are not your words. This is not your thoughts. This is not anything that your personality is going to carry on while you're meditating. So if you listen to this, you're listening to an ascended master who has ascended the personality, ascended it. So everything that's being said is in an ascended state. So while you're meditating on nothingness and listening to an ascended being, you can't do anything but ascend. Yeah? And you don't have to think, I'm done this wrong, or I've got to be good, or any of that kind of stuff. The meditation lifts you up because the master is up. Yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah? So it's important to meditate. Yeah? Every day, meditate for at least an hour. If you can join me in the meditations here, you've covered that. You've gotten your hour in. Yeah? But if not, you need to meditate. You need to do soul therapy. You need to do the time to allow yourself the connection. Because I've had a lot of people who join meditation and say, wow, that was quick. It's like I meditated immediately, and I stayed in a state of meditation. I don't even remember how long I meditated. I've never had that experience before, but I've been trying to meditate for 10, 15, 20 years, and it never works. I'm always thinking, this and that, But Every time, all the people, doesn't matter who you are, whether you're in India, whether you're in Nepal, whether you're a taxi driver someplace, if you go in and do soul therapy, they all come out and go, what? I don't believe this. I just meditated. I really did. And guess what? I saw Jesus. Yeah? Or I saw Buddha. Yeah? And he looks just like that guy in the picture. Yeah? This happens all the time. Yeah? Most people who come in have never met me, have no idea of who I am in all my lives. But when they go into the meditation, they meet me. I communicate with them. I quite often stand right there before them. Yeah, and they have visions. Yeah, so that telepathy is an orientation of our future. Yeah, our future is the right for all of us to see God. All of us to have a relationship that we can talk to God. We can communicate with God. We can commune with God. And until then, we can't have fellowship. Yeah, because it requires Christ to create the communion with God to manifest the fellowship. And no one can manifest fellowship until after the coming of Christ. Yeah, does that make sense? All right, so let's try meditating. Okay, just repeat after me. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad. To guide me into the right activity in the plan. To clarify and stimulate my mind. To transform and transmute my feelings and emotions. To energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body. So there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body. Through this day and every day, I ask this in the name of the Christ to serve the One. All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Let the forces of light bring illumination to mankind. Let the spirit of peace be spread abroad.
Okay, take a
May
deep breath.
humanity of goodwill everywhere meet in a spirit of cooperation. May forgiveness on the part of all mankind be the keynote at this time. Let power attend the efforts of the great ones. So let it be, and help us do our part. I invoke the holy archangels of heaven. Let the lords of liberation issue forth. Let them bring succor to the sons of mankind. Let the rider from the secret place come forth. And come, say, come forth, Almighty One. Let the souls of mankind awaken to the light. And may they stand with massed intent. Let the fiat of the Lord go forth. The end of the woe has come. Come forth, Almighty One. The hour of service of the saving force has now arrived. Let it be spread abroad, Almighty One. Let light and love and power and depth fulfill the purpose of the coming one. The will to save is here. The love to carry forth the work is widely spread abroad. The active aid of all who know the truth is also here. Come forth, Almighty One, and blend these three. Construct a great defending wall. The rule of evil now must end. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of mankind. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of mankind. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, a purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of mankind, let the plan of love and light work out. And may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. The sons of men are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not to hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form, and let life and all events, and bring forth to light the love which underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavage be gone. Let love prevail. Let all mankind love.
Okay, just relax. Okay, open your eyes. Okay, so the process of this is a mass illusion. Yeah? And it's held together by the glue of everybody's ego. And it's the wiping away of ignorance is the basis of this teaching. And that is to activate a level of understanding, but that has to awaken the heart. And it's in the heart center that if we're to receive truth, it's in that center that we receive it and hold it. And it instills in us the courage and the strength and the ability to hold it. Yeah? And not be persuaded away from the truth. So you may get the truth, and then, but your ego gets right in the way, and it's got other ideas, and it's got other, it's got its own life going on. Yeah. But on the higher side, when things are on the higher level, it's not connected to this earthly scenario. So it's working out something that's not related to your personality. Yeah. But it's related to you being useful in order to do something that's not related to your personality. So it would kind of be out of place. Yeah. It just is what is you're supposed to be doing. But it's when you're being moved, it's quite often from on high, and it's not necessarily what you're planning. Yeah. So meditation and the influence of coming in contact with my tools and doing meditation and carrying out any of this stuff helps to organize the ability for your body, your mind, and your emotions to receive the amount of light that I'm putting on this earth every day. Yeah, because like I said, it's powerful if you take vitamins every day. Well, I take my vitamins every day, folks. A lot more than that. I built this monastery. Yeah. I'm the enthroned Lord of this world. Yeah. I'm the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. Yeah. So that influence, that embodiment has no ego to it. Yeah. Because others have to recognize you. Yeah, you can have self-realization all you want, but it's that self-realization in the light of the truth that radiates out after recapitulation. Yeah. And you literally make a path. Yeah. And it is your destiny. It's the path that you're supposed to take, and you have no idea what that path is because it's put together by God as a working out of a plan. Yeah. So it requires meditation, orderly behavior, yeah, That way you clean your vehicles, you strengthen your vehicles, you allow your emotional body to be more stable, you allow your physical body to be more stable, you allow your mental body to be more stable, meditation, all these things. You allow just these vehicles, and these vehicles make up your personality. Yeah? And if you don't do these things, all you got is your ego. Yeah? Because you're not a yogi. I'm the yogi. I'm giving you the practice of yoga. Yeah? If you follow, yeah, like I said, on high, the directions that is given to you are not yours. They will be very different than what you would like to do that day or in your entire life. Yeah? Because you're in league with demons. And the demons, in order to exist and have a life, they must use you as a slave. So you got to have turmoil. You got to have emotional problems. You got to have physical unwellness. Yeah? Because that is the illusionary, what is eluded from those demons is your unhealthiness, your demise, the untying of your soul. Proving to you that, no, you haven't got a soul. No, there is no God. No, you're never going to be saved. Yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah? Because that's what we're in. That's the astral plane. And as long as this door is open, we all will suffer from that. So it's this work that I'm doing, closing the door by doing it in a way that you don't expect it's being done. Because you're expecting a president, or you're expecting a king, or you're expecting something else other than what you got. Yeah? And you actually got someone who's a yogi. Yeah? I'm Jesus Christ, the yogi Christ. Yeah? And I'm a yogi, and if you want to be in relationship to me, you got to be a yogi. Yeah? You've got to see it in this way, and you got to see the world in this way, and then you become a warrior. Yeah? A spiritual warrior. And that's what yoga is about. Is to defend your soul from your personality and to relinquish your ego in order to attain your soul. So you're at a battle with yourself. Yeah? You're at war. Yeah? And my job as Christ is to present to you the word Shambhala. The word Shambhala allows you to have a soul. Yeah? If you speak the word Shambhala, if you say the word Shambhala, if you include that Shambhala is on earth, you must have a basic understanding of the coming of Christ in the physical form, and that Shambhala is the incarnation of Christ manifested. Yeah? That it's a temple. And it creates everything. Everything moves like a clock out of Shambhala. All technologies, all advancements, all the future of humanity stems from Shambhala, because it's so much higher in the evolutionary realm of humanity. It's in the soul kingdom. That's where Shambhala is at. To have that built on earth by the soul boy, yeah, is the only way it works. Yeah? There is not another way. Jesus has to come, Jesus has to build Shambhala, build the soul for the earth, and incarnates the body of a human being as a soul. Yeah? And that's what brings the soul to the earth. Yeah? Yeah? It's the only way it happens. No one goes around and to some Christianity or something else that changes this fact. Yeah? It has to come through Jesus Christ. And the incarnation of Jesus Christ took place in 1951, so everybody's got a whole lot of catching up to do, and a lot of receiving blessings for not just this life, but their previous life that I gave them. Yeah? And that my incarnation during their incarnation changed their life to make them a better person and manifest out of that last life into this life, and then they could actually see the benefits of the Christ on earth, that it's benefited you. But you have to open yourself up beyond the astral plane. You have to close that door of the astral plane to see Christ on earth. Yeah? It's not like I'll be here 500 years and then you'll notice me. I doubt it. And I'm not going to put up pages and pages of one ads to have people come to the monastery and become monks and nuns. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Yeah, there's nothing like that happens. Yeah, I could do all the ads in the world, but everybody would just go, it's just another crackpot. It's all about God. Yeah, and God's timing and God's grace. So you got to have patience, you got to have virtues, all these things. That I got in all kinds of it. Yeah. So as that energy moves through, it allows this thing to unfold without chaos. Yeah? It's the other process, the ego, yeah, that creates the chaos. Yeah? So when people begin meditating more, and as this thing heals more, you know, and we get rid of Trump, we get rid of Michael Jackson, we get rid of a whole lot of people that you have no idea. You can't unveil it from your mind, but I'll unveil it for you. And I'll make them externalized right in front of your face. Yeah, Epstein would have walked out and gone through this whole thing. You know, the whole thing in Hollywood would have continued. Continue. Yeah, all these things are still continuing because they haven't been unveiled yet. Yeah, and then after it's unveiled, you all go, but you knew all along. Why didn't you tell us then? How many of you are cahooting with this thing, you know? It's not about that. Loyalty, it's sixth ray thing. It's about a veil, you know? And people have a blind eye. That's what the veil is. Yeah? Yeah. You assume, that couch thing is just part of what happens. You know, either you do it or you don't. Yeah? Either you get the job or you don't. Yeah? And it happens for both male and female. You know, so it's a very old, perverted lifestyle that was carried over by people who wanted to use people. And if you want the job, you're going to have to do this for me to get the job. And there's no other way around it. Yeah, somebody else can have that job if they'll do it for me. Yeah. And that just goes on and on and on. All slave owners did the same thing. All rich people did the same thing. Trump did the same thing. All these people have that in their mind of soullessness, those actions that carry on, and they reap havoc on our ego. Because we have no idea that we're highly psychically charged people. And our personality is created as an ashram. When we incarnate as a group, not as an individual. We're an ashram. Yeah? It's just that we're asleep. And we're all mixed up. And we've lost our way a lot. Yeah? You know, so all of that ashram thing is gone. We don't have any sense to it. But yet it keeps coming up. We look back in history and we see all these temples everywhere. Who was in those temples? Well, those people were pretty religious. You know, all those temples of India and China and all over the world. In America, temples all over the world, you know. How is it possible? All these temples, that great big pyramid. Wow, how'd they even build that? They must have been really smart. How'd they get that smart? What, they were spiritual, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. How'd they do that? Yeah. But yet it was every one of you. You just got more ego as time went on because the lunar lords got to you. Yeah? Yeah, that influence is what we're coming into. That influence is what's being exercised. So if you can help anybody get the music, it's free. Yeah, you just call us up here at Shambhala, ShambhalaHealingTools.com. Yeah, go on there, contact people, ask them for the music. They'll send you a card. They'll send you a free CD if you need a CD. They'll help you download it somehow, yeah? But it's completely free, nothing charged, yeah? Help people get to that music. If they can get to that, they'll hear my voice. There'll be a relationship of my physical incarnation on earth in their house, and it makes the difference in the world. It makes the difference, yeah? Yeah, so give that a try, okay? Thank you very much.